The I Only Listen to 90s Music podcast is a show for 80s babies who were 90s kids. If you were a No Limit soldier, then this is your show. If you believe that Cash Money is not an army but was a Navy, this is the show for you. If you and your friends ever tried to sing a song written by Escape, In Vogue, Shy, or Boyz II Men at a talent show during middle school, this is your show. The I Only Listen to 90s Music podcast is a bunch of 80s babies talking about all the songs and things that we loved when we were kids and teenagers. So if you went to the skating rink and you were at a lock-in, this is the show for you. If you think that Tevin Campbell was the original Prince of R&B, this is the show for you. If you don't understand the conflict between Monica and Brandy, but you're kind of on Monica's side and understand why Brandy got punched, this is the show for you. Make sure that you tune in, subscribe, click the little subscribe link. We're here. We're going to talk about all things 90s music. This is the show for you.
All right, welcome back. Welcome back. We are here for the best man. Look, we're here for the best man review of the series. What's it called? Best man. Is it Back to Life or something?
Next chapter. Is it next chapter?
The final
Next
chapter.
I don't remember
the final chapter.
Final chapter.
Or chapters.
The final chapters. We got Just Posted. This is gonna go on Just Posted's brand new page. They got Womanology's page is coming too as well, beginning 2023 off with a bang. All right, let's get it right into it. Terrence Howard, before I read, he said this is his last acting gig, period. He's retiring from acting.
He's retiring.
I think he might not need to. I don't know if his checks is correct. I think he needs to do a couple of Tubi movies though to make sure that money is tight.
No more, bro. Tubi is a.
Look, man, if I was an actor, man. Have you been on it, Rhea, since I put you on it?
You know, no, I've been on Tubi. Remember, Chloe wasn't on Tubi.
Yeah, Chloe
I was about to ask you, did you see that other two with Erica Mena?
Not Erica Mena. Not the Love and Hip Hop girl.
Yeah, it's the Stepmother Part 2, right?
That movie's so trash. That movie's
so trash. The second one's even worse.
But the fact that y'all sat through it, what was it, like an hour and a half? Y'all just sat through it.
I'm not gonna lie, but it was, to me, it's good. It's like, you know, like a little movie you go watch at home on days like this.
Yeah, I've been off for like a week and some change, so I've been like, yo, you know what? Let me throw this on real quick while I'm off the floor.
I'm ashamed of y'all. Tubi movies was horrible.
Not all of them. There's some good ones on there, man.
There's some good ones.
I know. Darren said with some gems. I still got my list. I'm gonna actually go through it within the next couple of days.
Yeah.
There's some other ones, man. I have to go back to my playlist. It's some good ones I've been watching on there, man. It's some killers.
Oh my god.
But you know, I'm on cinematography. You gotta be looking right. You gotta be.
No. Cinematography is dope on these. No, the ones that I'm talking about, it looks clean.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Sleepy looks very, very much like,
Right.
I don't judge people. No judgment. It's cool. Watch y'all Tubi movies, man.
I'm gonna watch these little Tubi movies while I'm on.
All right, let's jump into it. We're gonna go with the ladies first. Your thoughts on the series. What did you think, Rhea? Let's go with you first on overall.
Okay. So, in general, I thought the series was really good. I have to admit, I think that they did a really good job of everybody having their own storyline after, you know, the best man holiday, after, you know, she passed, his life passed. And I guess my pro about it, like my big takeaway from it is that I like how it wrapped up in the end. So for me, I know it's like, you know, a series. They turned into a series. And they might want to do a season 2, but I'll be cool with just this, you know, these first chapters. Like it kind of, you know, left it up to the reader's discretion or the viewer's discretion about what can happen next. And I'm cool with that. So I thought it was cool. And I guess the time, or like, I'm not sure, would be that one character that I'm just like, whew, girl, you know, you too much. unstable creature.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But nah,
Yeah.
it was cool. It was cool.
All right,
Mhm.
Chloe, you up?
I absolutely loved it. So, like, I woke up at like 3 o'clock in the morning one night and watched it and could not stop. But I loved how you were able to get an in-depth perspective on each character. So that was nice to get some background, to also get some depth to their characters. And I love seeing just Black men. Like, I think that we have so many shows out now that showcase Black women, especially young Black women. But being able to see these characters mature and how they rely on each other and like confide in each other, some deep personal situations that are going on in their lives, I absolutely love that. And we dive into so many topics from grief to, sexual abuse. We dove into, just marriages, divorces, your children, them getting older, health concerns. Like there were so many like different ways that I'm sure everybody who watched it could have been impacted or kind of felt, some type of way about it because it kind of hit close to home. I absolutely loved it. So yeah, I'm wishful that there's another season to this, but I'll be okay as well. I think they ended it very well. So I give them kudos. So I give it like a 10 out of 10. I absolutely loved it.
All right, Sleep, on you, man. What you got?
Man, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I pulled a her. I binged it. I watched it all in one night, wrapping Christmas
Mm-hmm.
gifts. So I
Mm-hmm.
started and finished it one night. Hella good. It covered everything from Me
Yeah.
Too to Black Twitter to dealing with a child that's a part of the LGBTQ to, I mean, reality shows, like everything that's been going on in Black culture for the last, I would say, decade. It kind of wove all of that into it. So that I enjoyed just seeing
Mm-hmm.
how, because they're older than me, how they would deal with things like that. Because some of the things I have trouble dealing with, and I'm in my 40s, so seeing them kind of navigate through that was kind of cool. The character development, watching them, I actually rewatched the first two movies in preparation of this, and to see the character development and to see how some of them are still stuck in their ways. People are
Mm-hmm.
people. Like it was very refreshing to see that. Everybody goes through life and deals with things differently. I have my favorite characters. I have some characters I really didn't like, and I'm sure we'll talk about that once we get rolling.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna give my general thought. I thought it was awesome. I thought it was literally like I mean, the Best Man in general, pound for pound, outside of I think there is pinnacle movies for blackness. I think Boomerang is the one that starts it all for like what this is of what blackness can be as we are as college educated people that are trying to navigate this world and do what we do. But the Best Man puts that pin in it. Like I think the Best Man puts that extra thump in it to it, even because they have more movies, obviously. But the idea of it showing it from different perspectives, different types of black people, it really, if you look at Boomerang, it's really Boomerang, but just expanded. It's those same characters. It's just that you had a Murch being David Allen Greer. You basically had Martin Lawrence being Terrence Howard's character. You just didn't have a Lance, and you could have thrown that in as an athlete. They didn't have that, but it was basically the same, but it's just extension of that. And I'm sure if you talk to Malcolm Lee, who wrote all this, he would say that too. That like, hey, I kind of saw this and wanted to kind of piggyback. But I thought it was awesome. I can't see how you can really hate on this because it was riveting. Like you really are plugged into it and you really want to see what these people are about. And like you feel connected to the characters. And that's why it's bringing out so much stuff. That's why me and Sleep want to do this. Because it was like you really feel connected to these characters for so long and what their decisions are and what they're doing.
Bro, Eddie Murphy is just a Lance like hybrid. Like he's like they put
That's the point. Yeah.
like it's like they just put them it's like they split them apart because he was very driven with work, but he also was a ladies' man too, and having to navigate dealing with like
So Lance and
I'm
Harper
in
are Eddie Murphy, basically.
yeah, like dealing with I'm in love now and it's just the one and backsliding and all of that. That's a good analogy. Like I see it.
Mhm.
All right, so we're just gonna go through
Yeah.
every character to make it simple because there's so much going on, and it's characters that overcross. But we'll talk about each individual character going through, and then we'll culminate at the end. So let's go first. Let's go with Murch. Let's start out with Murch. What are y'all thoughts on Murch? I'm gonna go to you first, Sleep, since we went around the other way first time.
Yeah.
Hey, so I don't think I've ever really liked Murch. I never disliked Murch. He just was
Mhm.
a character on there. But
Yeah.
I did enjoy his character development. Never would have thought he'd get involved in MMA. I was like, what is this? And he had to deal with a Karen moment, dealing with like racial tension, and how do you navigate that as a black man? If we react one way, it could be perceived this way. He had like a dream, not a dream sequence, but a daydream sequence where if I do this, she might do this, and that's kind of real. And I'm older. I don't think to pull out my phone in them type of situations, just like him. They like, did you record it? That's the last thing on my mind. My mind is staying alive and getting
Yeah.
like and being I. So just kind of watching that, how he dealt with his wife and kind of being put in the back. He's always been in the back burner, like always. And he did take a lot of shit. He was picked. I ain't gonna say picked on, but everybody got a friend, or at least guys. We all have a friend that kind of gets shit on a little bit, like, and it sucks. And it made me want to do better in my relationships.
I
Because I'm
agree.
like, damn, I do know a Murch that's
Yeah.
been being Murch for like 20 years. And that's got to suck being
And
Murch
been holding everybody down too. If we talking about the
and
same
being a
person, I'm
good
thinking
friend
about yeah.
and not necessarily being as macho or as loud or as out there as the rest of the crew. And I was like, damn, I got to reevaluate how I treat people. So Murch made me want to be better just because I'm like, damn, hearing Murch finally explode, when you hold all that in and somebody explodes, until you know what somebody is going through, you don't know. You think it is just a joke or, oh, we just playing. But them jokes can hurt, they can sting. So I like Murch more now than I did through the entire series. Like Murch now, I'm like, I hang out with Murch. Like Murch, my boy.
All right, Rhea, what you got?
Yeah. So I feel like I can see Murch becoming like an MMA fighter, and the reason why, because he did have a lot of stuff, built up inside of him, and you never knew. Um, I mean, he just played it cool. He just let it, go off his shoulder, bounce off his shoulders. Okay, I said this, whatever, whatever, whatever. But everybody has their breaking point, and so for him, his breaking point was like, I need to get out this aggression. And so what he do? He did the proper thing, right? So he got out his aggression the proper way, which is channel it into something that he needed to, to get out, which was MMA fighting. And then going back to the original series, or the original movie, I should say, when they were like, man, Murch, why you haven't gone to law school yet? And they were like, he was like, I'm just not feeling it, like I'm not there. No, not going to law school past the bar. He was like, I'm just not feeling it. I'm just not there. And then when he found education, what people don't know, education in like law, like that's a lot, because we have to follow a lot of laws that people don't realize. So they do overlap. You know what I'm saying? They do kind of go together. And so they also probably looked at him a different way. Like, dude, you could have been like this high power attorney, and then you chose education, which is like the weaker male link, I guess you want to say, however you want to say it. And so that's my thing about Murch. But I also really enjoyed on how he really does try to be a really caring husband to his wife. Like, he was adamant about being a good father, and I think a lot of series don't necessarily portray that. He was adamant about being a good father. He was adamant about being a good husband. He took those roles seriously. And I think a lot of times when we have series like these, or even movies like these, we don't get that, like, I'm present. We get the provider, but he was really trying to be present in his household, in his family. And I think that's like a good character, um, you know, uh, not what's the word I'm looking for? Good characteristics of his character. So yeah, Murch cool.
Yeah, and I'll piggyback off you though with that. And the underlying thing though they talked about in the second movie is that she's a former sex worker as well. So he's riding technically for a ex-sex worker. Like that's the extra layer of it. Like how much he really rocks with her is the fact that like she's not just a regular woman that's doing it. She's the ex-sex worker that's doing all this stuff. So you imagine what other comments are coming out in general around him in general.
Yeah, because of her profession or her old profession. But it's like he sees her. It was like, I see, you know, I understand where you've been, but you ain't like that no more. So I'm going to do what I can as your husband to protect you at all costs.
Yeah,
And
he navigated that a lot in the second movie when the video had leaked. He had to navigate with that, losing sponsors, losing people that was fundraising money. And obviously, from movie to movie, that didn't phase him at all. And you got to respect it. You can't judge folks on their past.
No. I agree. I think he was I liked him. I guess I kind of go for the underdog sometimes, looking at the movies and saw how he kind of stood up to Shelby finally, and everybody was kind of cheering him on. It's like he found his voice. And in the series, he did that again, even with his friends, the ones that kind of clowned him or, you know, talked about him in a playful way, not to be malicious, but those things still like were stinging him. They were hurtful to him. So him being able to kind of stand up for himself, I was proud of him in both the movie and also in this series. But I think he always saw the best in people. He saw that with his friends. Looking at his wife now, when she was right after she had did her whole little routine at the bachelorette part or the bachelor party, and it was like he saw her. He didn't just see her for her dancing, being exotic, and you know showcasing her body. He like saw something deeper in her, and I think that's what he saw in Quentin. He saw that in Hart. He saw that in Lance. And like you said, he was just a good, supportive friend, and I love to see it. So in the actual series, seeing him have an escape and an outlet for some of that tension that he was feeling, I was proud that he was able to identify that for himself, because he probably could have blown up, which he did with, who was that? Was that Harper? No, that was Quentin. Now he blew up at Quentin. Didn't he meet up with Quentin?
He grew up at Harper too.
He
in the
met
series.
up with Quentin at the series. And he blew up at Harper, but I remember what you were talking about when they were walking his kids to school. And
he had brought the coffee out. He brought that coffee out.
Yeah, and Quentin was like, "Look, let me rap with you," and he was like, But he still kept his cool even then.
Because he's respectful, regardless of what's going on, he's gonna remain respectful. But I'm glad that he found his voice even more so in the series. So I'm proud of him.
Y'all think Murch really think he gonna go to UFC or something? Because that's how I was like, that'd be like, I mean, he's kind of old to be doing UFC. This brother in his mid to late 40s.
I was looking at it. When I looked at it, I was like, I don't know how realistic this is. Like, I
was like, hold on,
He wasn't fighting. He wasn't fighting like elite athletes though. He was fighting like dads like him. Like he was fighting just regular dudes.
It was the dance MMA tournament.
Like they all practiced at the same gym, and then they went and had a tournament. Like this wasn't televised. It was like people was recording on their phones, and that's how it leaked. Like it wasn't a big. He wasn't in UFC. Is all I'm saying. He was just a regular dude throwing the man.
Dad fighting championships, the DFC.
But then I'm not sure of like the awareness his wife had, because he was coming home bruised up, and she didn't. She didn't even trip out that, but that could just show. Student. Exactly, but that could then just show how present he was with his family, but how his wife was kind of tuned out. She wasn't in line, or you know what I'm saying, really paying attention to what he was doing, because there's no way you didn't see bruises or him being sore, you know, coming in. So, but
that's true.
She had all thing going on,
or his limping or anything. Yep.
Yeah.
Let's go to our next character. Let's go. We're gonna go to our next character. We're gonna go into Jordan.
I think. Can I
go to first?
I think for me personally, like I saw a lot of resemblance of like my life, like being very driven with my career, and how sometimes my relationships were put on the back burner because it's like you almost tunnel vision. You have a vision of how you want your life to be, and sometimes you are neglectful of like, you know, the things that really matter, your friendships, relationships, having children. She dealt with it and it hurt my feelings. Like, I have a child, my daughter's 14, but like I have some friends who don't have, or family members who don't have children, and they look back like, I wasted all of this time. And now when I really have it, it's like that possibility probably escapes me. But yeah, I saw a lot of myself in her just from that perspective of not, of being so head driven, like I gotta accomplish these goals, that sometimes I forget the meaningful aspects of life, which is relationship with other people. So yeah.
Yeah, and then I guess I feel that way as well, with the whole trying to navigate personal relationships, but also career, relationships. But then again, another way that I kind of, see myself enjoying is that health aspect, right? Remember, she would do so much with work. She would just like be on call or be so available, not having boundaries, be so available to where she was neglecting her actual health. Like she would try so many new age medicines. Like, I'm meditating, I'm in my quiet room, I'm listening to my meditation music, I got my sound bowls. But your actual medical care, that does nothing for your actual medical care. Like, you can light as many candles, as many sound bowls, whatever you do. But she was actually struggling, and she didn't see it because in her mind she was tunnel vision, right? So if I'm tunnel vision and I have to get a project completed, then I ignore my health and I ignore those personal relationships because I'm tunnel vision on what I'm trying to accomplish. And then one thing I do like about Jordan is that she would try to recognize it, but then the minute that something goes off, she just goes back into tunnel vision and like career focus, and doesn't really like give herself that time. And I mean, it's good to be a Jordan, but like Chloe said, at the end of the day,
it's lonely. You know what I'm saying? And those important moments, the last, what was it, the best man holiday, she was, well, no, she had a boyfriend, but you got to think, if
Yeah, the
you're
white dude,
involved, so wrapped up, yeah, the white guy was so engulfed in your career that those precious moments where you can spend time, you don't even know how to navigate that, right? You don't even know what to do, how to embrace it. And I felt sorry for her with that. And even like that moment in the car with Lance crying about having a child and maybe that possibility not being present for her, and it just broke my heart. You know what I'm saying? It's like, now, yeah, that career, that job gonna always be there, but like, you want something to love on, to love you back, and all of that. She may have missed it.
Yeah, I like that. Love you back. That's true. Yeah.
Sleep, what you got?
She really reminds me of Harper in some aspects, in that she is so focused on this one goal that she doesn't take care of some of the things around her. Um, and being a black person, especially a black woman, has got to be tough working in a white world. So I know trying to navigate, because she went through it, the culture being upset because the show got canceled, but she's trying to put this black woman in a position to still be successful, but she still got to look out for herself in the ratings and things like that. Like, that can be hard to juggle, especially if you're in a leadership role. Like, it's hard to do. I thought she did a great, excellent job with her godson. That's got to be a really tough situation, knowing how Lance is, and still trying to be supportive, but also being like, you should probably tell your dad you need to talk to him. She never didn't necessarily handle that the way I would have handled it. She probably should have said something to Lance, but you also can't make somebody come out. That's got to be up to them and on their terms. So it's a really hard thing to navigate. And in those aspects, like in that aspect, I think she did a great job. Um, she just makes bad decisions sometimes, and that's okay. We human. her and Harper got this thing where they might be so alike that it wouldn't have worked anyway. Like,
ain't nobody gonna do nothing. Everybody, ain't nobody gonna be at home cooking no dinners, and ain't nobody doing nothing at the crib.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like, hey,
it would have been a
who got
conflict.
the
They wouldn't have
cleaner?
been
Oh,
friends
I've been
with
in
each other.
New Zealand.
Somebody
But-
has somebody has to, push back. And if they always going to, somebody has to be the, I don't want to say weaker role, but somebody has to be the one that's going to be able to bend more, be able to compromise more.
You know what? They could be together if they don't live together. I think they can have a great relationship. They never live together.
I don't think it would work, bro.
I don't think it would work. They wouldn't be present. They wouldn't. I think they have commonalities, and that's what links them together. They have someone that understands each other. But being emotionally available, they are doing their own things so often that they wouldn't have that time together to really like make it work. So I like them as friends. I just think there's like this chemistry that they've always had that unfortunately I don't think would be healthy in a relationship.
Agreed.
I think my whole thing is to have a spinoff Harp and Jordan. You do a whole spinoff with them two kind of like Will and Grace. Not Will and Grace, mad about you. Like mad about you.
No, I don't know. I think if it goes to like season 2, right? And if we still thinking about Jordan's health, right? And all of this, she might be the one that's going to have to be, I keep thinking weaker, but not necessarily weaker, but compromise, because she has to compromise.
Shifting your priorities. Shifting your priorities.
Yeah, she might be the one that's going to have to do it, so it might work, because that's what Harper needs, right? He's a writer, and so he's going to be occupied for months, weeks at a time. So it might work. It might, especially because
she stepped down from her position and is doing something different. So I think now she needs to explore someone that can be all about her. She's had it not be that way for so long. So to have Dan Harper, it's like,
no,
okay,
the white guy was about her though. Chloe.
Trying to say, the white guy wasn't that bad, man.
No, I'm saying
the white guy was all about her.
But remember, she
had time to embrace it. She didn't have time to indulge in that. Now that she has that time, she's kind of stepped back and took a lesser role, you know what I'm saying, being more of an entrepreneur where she can make her own decisions. She needs someone that's now going to be all about her. She needs that for a chance versus not having it.
And it's so messed up because I be seeing people as the roles that they were in other things. I'm like, dog, not Terry Silver, dog. I'm like, this not the dude for her.
Oh my gosh, can we talk about him real quick? Because we're talking about Jordan.
Yeah, go ahead. I mean, he's got a full character.
Go for it.
I'm not going to speak to his profession and what he did, but when I say his intentionality with her, paying attention to her, figuring out the times where she had downtime so he could be present and show up, like, I loved that. He knew her
I
schedule.
think that's all bullshit, though. Chloe, I think that's all bullshit.
See, that's intentionality. That's someone that knows what the fuck he wants. And
no, that's bullshit.
He applies pressure to know.
No, see, this is where women y'all get trapped.
This is where women don't be understanding.
Yes.
I'm ready. Let me sit up because I'm ready. What?
All of that stuff that he was doing. My man was distraught for a minute when he wasn't getting none. He was distraught. Like he was doing what he needed to do
around to make sure he gets some of this.
He was doing what he needed to do to close that deal. Because he said, once I close this deal, I had her whipped up in college. If I could close this deal again, she's gonna be right back whipped up. The whole time he wasn't telling her nothing about his job. Like the things that you're like, oh my God, he knew her schedule, he knew this. He wasn't telling her nothing about his life.
Right, but they didn't really get to that point. I think that he made some very questionable actions as far as this. Was he dissing Harper or whatever?
Yes, like, my man was not. He was not there for the plan.
That type of stuff. But that one
together, though, Chloe. These niggas, when he noticed that, like, so it's like, oh, he talking about me, like, word. You already like he knew they knew each other, so it wasn't no just random dude. Like I know you, cuz.
Right?
We got to connect the dots. They all went to school together. So
Yeah,
it's always been that chemistry, that electricity between Harper and her. So dude,
for
he
sure.
defensive.
You can do
Like
that.
he defensive.
I don't think that he was secure at all. But I will say, and I'm staying on it, I loved how he
But it's
again was
fake
intentional
intentionality, Chloe.
about
That's the
her.
whole point. It's fake intentionality.
Again, you will see that over time from somebody, but most men don't take the time just to show a woman I'm paying attention. Let me show up for you. Like Rhea
Okay,
said, let me
now I'm gonna ask you
apply
this question, though,
pressure.
Chloe.
I like
I'm gonna ask you
that
this
part.
question. Would
There
you
are
have
many other
somebody rather be
aspects.
consistently, like, let's say they are the 6 or a 7,
Okay.
or they're doing they had 10, they drop down to a 4. They back to a 10, they drop down to a 3. They up at a 9, they drop down to a 5, or somebody's a
I
7.
put your best at whatever moment in your life,
You can,
whatever
yeah,
that may
you can
look like.
give
It
me.
may be 10, and it may be 4 because I'm showing up more. It just depends. You know what I'm saying? I would want it to be as consistent, but life is not consistent, so I can't say that. But I think you have to look at the amount of effort someone puts in with what they have at that moment, what they can do in that moment. But he does have flaws, like everybody does.
I know a
But I
shady dude
like
when I see
that
a shady
pressure.
dude, man.
Exactly.
So okay, so wait a minute. This is how I feel, and I just feel like this. I understand when you are busy, like Jordan, right? And you do need a guy who is intentional in, like, hey, I know you have this break between 5 to 8. Let's hang out. Let's go get lunch. I will bring you coffee.
Plan it. You don't think about nothing. You
You're
just
not
show the fuck up.
exactly just show up. And who's to say at that time that's all she needed was somebody to show
They
up?
weren't even talking yet. My man had stalked her schedule, and they hadn't
Now
even.
he a stalker.
He had, wait a minute. We're talking about
This
it.
man had
How
stalked
you
this
know that she
woman's
didn't tell
schedule.
him
He
like
was.
her day? Like you can be talking on the phone. Like, guess what? You know, I got boom boom pow, and then I'm gonna try to get some dinner
But
between
he got
5 and 8.
money though, Rhea. He can figure stalking gets better as you got more money. That it just looks like being intentional, but it's really stalking because you got money and time.
He ran into her at a bar, and then a couple of days later was like, "I just happen to be walking down the same street as you. Hey, you got 45 minutes before you got to do it." That's stalkerish.
I want somebody to pay attention. So this is the thing about being a successful black woman who is in control. We need a man that will just take that over. Figure it out. Don't have
But
me
it's a
doing it.
thin line, Chloe, between being a stalker and being like
Oh my
overbearing.
God,
I
my
just
man is
And
a
don't think
being,
he was
stalker.
okay.
Bro,
I didn't know
Jesus.
this was gonna
We
be the
have to
topic
move
that
on
really
for
jumped us off.
obvious reasons.
he
But I
knew
just
she
don't think he was.
he knew she was gonna kick it with her friends for New Year's. He say, "But you could come to Paris with me," and then was hurt when she was like, "No, I'm gonna stay with my friends." Like
And
he
what did
didn't
her
offer to.
homegirl
So
say? Girl,
here's the
take
thing with
that
me.
trip.
I was about to say that. I see
No,
y'all.
no,
I
no,
just
no,
saw y'all
no,
2
no,
weeks
no,
ago.
no. Because they're, especially at our age or their age, like my time with my friends is super important. You ain't gonna pull me out for these events that are things that are like with my people. And if somebody I'm dating or somebody I'm kicking it with knows that, they should know, like, you could come through with me, like, hey, you know what I'm saying, what you doing? I could
He
be like,
ain't
yo,
offer to come through or nothing. Somebody had to call him and be like, "You can come over. This where it's at." Like he wasn't even.
But her friend, but Shelby. Okay, so I gotta bring in Shelby.
it's Shelby about that. Shelby is morphing herself. She's learning this shit too.
Shelby was like, "Why are you even here? You
So we
should be
using
in
Shelby
Paris."
as the doggone litmus test now? Like, is she
Because
like?
10
Yeah,
years ago,
Shelby be right sometimes. She see this is I guess I like Shelby. And I'm gonna just keep my little Shelby thought until we get to Shelby. But I do, I like Shelby.
No. She's way better this series. Though.
So
Let's wrap up with this dude though, because I didn't know there's gonna be so much contention with him. I didn't know this.
women love him, dog.
I thought we all thought he was a sleazebag from when he first came on
That's
the
how
screen.
sleazebags keep winning, because women love sleazebags for real. They love them.
yeah, so okay, so here's my thing.
Hey,
I'm
hold on.
always looking at
I gotta write that down.
the general picture, right? I'm looking at the whole picture. So I understand what dudes are saying, like, nah, we can be really stalkerish if you allow it. So I get what you're saying. If you allow it, I can stalk you. Like it's nothing for me. But what we
Especially
are
if you got bread though, Rhea. That's the thing. There's a thin line because when somebody's got bread, y'all don't look at it. Stalkers like, oh, he looks intentional. because he's got the availability to be able to do certain different things. No, he's stalking you.
Jordan likes stalkers, bro. Old boy on the island was taking a picture and shit. And
Now that shit was creepy, and I will
she
admit
likes
that.
stalker
That
ass
shit's
niggas. That's what
fucking
Jordan likes.
creepy.
Right?
I don't care if we like, if I look hella good in my swimsuit, my hair down, flowing, everything. Do not take a picture of me and I don't know. That shit's fucking creepy.
Weird.
Right, but she's starting to get into it.
Yeah, that was fucking creepy. So that's
And that was weird that they didn't close that storyline though, too. That was weird that storyline got dropped.
No, they went home.
It
You
needed
know how
to
it be.
stay on the island. It didn't need to go no further.
Daryl, you know how it be. We've been single before. You go on vacation, you see somebody. If it happened, it happened. If it don't, it don't. And then y'all go home. Right.
That needs to stay where it was at.
Yeah,
That was super realistic. He even hit her with the, maybe when I'm in New York, we can have lunch. Nigga, you're not gonna have lunch.
Right.
Let's stop
That's what I'm
playing.
saying. Now that was a stalker.
I say, oh, no, she like a little bit of sleaze bag adjacency is what she like. She like that, and that's okay. I mean,
so you trying to say her picker is off because she's so career driven?
I mean, shoot,
It
Harper was my girlfriend's coming to the wedding. She was about to smash him that night. Harper married. They was about to make out and probably smash if old boy didn't have a heart attack.
Yeah,
like,
no, we'll get
like
to that.
she,
I think they
she likes sleazes, and that's
So
okay.
her let's just say her picker is off because she's so career focused, so she doesn't, get to examine that personal
I wouldn't even say that. She doesn't look at the totality of a person. Let's just say that. She doesn't look at all the aspects. She fantasizes about one aspect of them, you know what I'm saying? Either being present, being successful, understanding how driven she is, and that's all that she sees, and she makes some bad judgments.
Because I would say Harper was very present for her too. Harper always knew when to call. He shared the book with her from the get-go. He did
so
this,
you trying to say that he's a stalker or he just a good best friend?
I know. They've been friends since college. That's different. They've been friends for 20 years.
But dude, she been knowing since college too.
No.
Yeah, but he was a sleaze bag though. Back then, she even said
they broke up because he had her. He was, and she was crying on the floor. He was a broke college sleaze bag that became a sleaze bag with money. And she was like, we all
make silly decisions in our early 20s.
She's about to make the same decision in her 40s. She's about to do it again.
We would never know. We don't know.
Until she found out his career that he hid from her.
But here's the thing, did he hide it? Because remember, we said that they didn't talk about his career. We said it.
Why wouldn't you talk about his career if y'all dating?
And Jordan is all about her career. So that's
why wouldn't she ask this man about his career?
But if she's so self-absorbed, I don't want to say self-absorbed, but if she's so focused on her career and he was just like a relief where she
did a whole
about it,
montage of him taking her home every night trying to get into the apartment. It was like 3 dates at least of them hanging out. They was hanging out a lot.
No, look, Sleep. That was over a long period of time because she got a lot of shit to do. So that's probably over like 6 months.
They was hanging out hellas. He was trying to speak for hellas. So I mean, it was several dates in that montage. At no point did she be like, "Hey, what do you do for a living? How are you able to just do all this shit that you're doing?" Either she just didn't care. This nigga got money, girl. I won. Or she just like sleazeballs. And she's like, "Hey, I ain't gonna ask no questions."
I don't want to say she likes sleazeballs.
Was it that the company that he worked for invested in private prisons? Like, what was it? Like, what was his? Is that what it was?
Company. It was a shell company.
It was a shell company. He really just invested in prisons. The company he said he worked for was fake. It wasn't even a real company. He was like, "I work for Stevens and Hedges," and she was like, "The fuck is that? What do y'all do?"
And that's what she looked up. Yep. Or that's what Shelby looked up.
So that means he lied on purpose. If you work for a shell company, you just lying to everybody on purpose. Like that's sleazy right there by itself.
Yeah.
I didn't know this Shelby thing was going on. I'm not Shelby. I didn't know this was going on.
You say nobody's perfect. She's like, nobody's perfect.
Not that I'm only focus in on that one thing, but that was something that kind of drew me in. Like, oh, I'm like, okay, cool. But
He knew I eat
again,
lunch at 12:42 every day, and I like a Capri salad, and he bought that. How did he know that? I don't know, but he knew.
You think that's intentional? I think that's stalking. Somebody
if
show up with
somebody
a
paid
9-piece
attention to
Chick-fil-A
my
at
work
my
schedule
job.
and knew what time I got off and was present to be like, here's a meal, let me get you some coffee in between going to buildings, I'd be like, this nigga, I like this.
You
No,
wouldn't say,
don't.
"How did he know this?"
If you told me that,
It
you
wouldn't
would
be.
like run.
No radar would go off and be like, "Why does he know this? Like, we didn't discuss this."
Exactly.
I
I
would
would
be
be
like
like,
that
what?
too. But for me, again, she has an assistant. She has all of the, he could have found out. I mean,
So that means he had to
I
bribe
feel
the
that way
assistant
too.
because you work for me. You're
now
not
you
supposed to be
got a
giving out this information
bribe.
about
Okay,
me.
we going way into this
Wait a
and we don't
minute.
know none of the
No,
details. We making up scenarios of what could happen.
I
no.
mean, I
Like,
would be pissed if my assistant just gave some random nigga she had never seen
He
before
ain't no
my
random nigga,
schedule.
obviously. She know him.
and then a lot of times, Black women who are in these positions, we talk a lot to our assistants because they're like our right hand man, right?
But how has the assistant got giving out information about you?
So it could have been a conversation like this. Hey, if the guy called, tell him I'm in a meeting from 2 to 3:30. And so she probably told him. And so he was like, oh, okay, well at 3:30, what is she doing next? The assistant could say, you know what? She's in the office. Okay, I will pop up by 3:45, take her to lunch.
Hey,
I'm like, nah.
my man had breakfast ready for her for the sunrise. If the assistant knew all that, that's crazy. But it's okay. Next
Next
person.
Yeah,
character,
let's
please.
roll the next person. Let's go to Shelby. We'll go to Shelby next. We'll go to Shelby.
I like Shelby. I like Shelby. The reason why I like Shelby is because she is who she is. She real, and she's not gonna sugarcoat nothing. Now, do I like the choices that she has made? Obviously, they're questionable with Quentin and what's her little daughter, Michaela, or something like that.
I don't
Jordan.
know.
I can't remember.
I don't remember the little girl name,
Yeah.
but obviously the decisions were questionable by keeping, Quentin away from his daughter. We'll talk about more of that later. But I like Shelby because Shelby is honest and she lives in her emotions. She feels them and she moves past, and she gonna keep it going. She not gonna stay on one type of topic. She gonna keep life moving, and she gonna make a coin. And that's one thing I really like about her. And the thing is about Shelby is that everybody thinks that she's not smart, but she's constantly thinking. She's constantly thinking of a plan, or she's more like business minded, but in a like a thug type of way, I guess, because it's not typical business minded, right? So I like that about her. I guess what other people don't like about her is because she's not as polished. You know what I'm saying? So she's not the polished person. When she first came out in The First Best Man, you know how she was like very poised, very like Julian. But then, I just like her. She is who she is, and if you don't like her, she gonna be like fuck you and keep going. And that's why I like Shelby.
Yeah, I'm Team Shelby too, bro. Because I watched her go from bougie, is that a Prada suit, and this, that, and the third, to being like Real Housewives of whatever,
And getting
to
gassed up
being
about
like,
that, getting gassed up about that whole thing being on that.
and still having that. She could have easily always been the smartest woman in the room.
Uh-huh.
She almost was dumbing herself down. She was like,
been dumbing herself down. Yes.
And I don't know if it was when Murch left her for the stripper, so she started acting ratchet too, or quit like ratchet motherfuckers too. The niggas that she liked kept gravitating toward ratchet women. So I don't know if that's why she was like, I'm gonna be ratchet too and see what happened. Because she was not like that in the first one. She was very poised
Or
and polished.
Could it be that she's finally embracing her true self? Maybe that polished person wasn't necessarily her.
I think it was a combination of the two. Because toward the end, she was polished at some moments, but still real. Both things can coexist. I think she didn't know how to juggle that at first. I don't think she knew how to be. Yes, I'm educated, but yes, I will whoop your ass too. Like I don't think she knew how to deal with that. I love me a woman that's a go getter. She said, "Hey, he finna get married. I'm about to go get that." I respect it. I ain't mad at that at all. And she went and got him. I He didn't want to be with her in the first place. The other chick, he didn't want to be with her.
Because
That
she
was
knew him. She knew what type of dude Quentin was. And
that
so
was
she
a
was
business
like,
decision he was making. He was making a business decision to please his father.
No, it's not a business decision, though, and I get it. But it's not. It wasn't a business decision, and I get that when we get to Quentin. It
Who the
wasn't a
first
business
chick?
decision.
The chick he was marrying? She was gonna be
It
the
wasn't a
brand
business decision.
ambassador of the
I know,
hotel.
but it came from a conversation he had with Mia in the second movie when she was laying in the bed with him, and she was like, "I'm gonna take care of you." He just felt like he needed to marry somebody.
I
Tuesday.
agree.
General.
Okay.
No, I agree.
Because remember him and me in the bed smoking weed, and she was like, "So who gonna take care of you?" And he's like, "Oh shit." So that's why it started spinning in with him.
But Shelby was always an option even then. She wilded out when she found out he was even engaged because he was still fucking her. Like Shelby this is gonna sound horrible, but sometimes dudes have a standby. There's a chick that's just there. She done been through a couple relationships. Shelby was his standby. She had been around since the best man. He smashed at the end of the best man, the first movie. They had been smashing off and on since then. That's a long time.
I'm gonna stop your sleep. I have a theory that he'd been smashing back in college.
He probably did, which would make him a horrible fucking friend.
That's messy.
That's messy.
And I think that's why he understood
That's my Darth Vader hat on. That's my Darth Vader hat on.
But okay, so here's my question. And I know we're talking about Shelby, but so dudes be like, even though that's your homeboy girl. Yeah,
that was my thing.
That's what I'm saying. That's your homeboy girl.
Ain't that a bro code? Like they were together. They weren't just fucking. They were actually together.
He might have smashed first and never said nothing to Murch because he thought Murch was soft.
Oh,
that's the outward.
Based on what you see, Murch was with Shelby.
Correct.
Right, but he might have been making her before Murch. Period.
Okay, so don't know that. Regardless of, is that not a bro code? Because for females, you could not mess with some dude that I was with and eventually marry him.
Listen,
that's crazy.
Quentin has come a long way. We're gonna talk about Quentin later. Quentin has come a long way. But
also, even for Shelby showing up to that man's wedding, regardless if they had been fucking, she was messy as fuck.
She was.
Like, no, that was definitely messy.
But she did what she had to do. She won. She won at the end.
She won, but she not. But that was messy as fuck. No matter how
sometimes you gotta make a mess. Sometimes you gotta make a mess. Sometimes you gotta make a mess.
This is what I was about to say. I'm not even sitting up here, and I'm not gonna. I'm being honest, and you know how I be when I like people. So. Shelby, yes, it was messy. It was hella messy. She should have stayed her ass wherever the hell she was doing his whole wedding weekend. 100%. But she knew what she wanted, right? She knew that nigga. And sometimes you gotta get in mess.
I'm Team Rhea too. Go ahead, Rhea.
So you can't do this prior to this man getting married. If y'all been doing that. So you couldn't express all of that before that he actually about to get married. You couldn't. You had to go and show up at his wedding.
The marriage it came out of nowhere. The shit was just she found out on the news like everybody else. Oh, girl was
so the only reason that she went as hard was because he was about to, get married. That was the only reason. That was the only reason to then show up.
So here's my other thing though. So would you have liked if she would have showed up when he was married to her, and then it would have been a bigger mess? I think that she should have caught him before.
It was a bigger mess when she kept that baby away from him for 10 years. So I mean, it was a mess then. So
I don't agree with her keeping.
She grew a lot.
Nah, that's not cool at all.
She grew. Okay. She cool.
So no. I want to talk about that though for a second, though. Go ahead. So the timeline thing was like weird because Remember in Best Man 2, they would kept on saying, like, no, it's not his kid. She was like, no, it's not his kid. It's not his kid.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then it was like, so I'm figuring she must have told him in between Best Man 2 and him getting married, trying to get married. He found out at that point that was his kid. Because he found out when
He
she was
found
10.
out when they got married.
Yeah, he found out when they got married, bro.
Yeah, he just found out when they got
What?
married.
It
In
happened
the final,
in the show.
When she was 8, and only 2 years after. Because the movie
She was.
is 2 the TV show starts 2 years after the original Best Man.
It happened in the
Right. So
TV
she
show.
found out when the baby was what, 10. So like
she
they
found out.
Right.
She probably put 2 and 2 together. Like, damn, that's her father. But she didn't tell Quentin until they got married.
So like they was 10. The child was 10, and then you're right. She kept him.
So there still was a gap of time when she knew and still didn't say anything.
Yeah, I'm with that.
I agree. Yeah, because I.
And that was
that's
fucked up.
messy. That's crazy.
That was fucked up. It
Keeping that
was.
man from his child, that's asinine to me. That doesn't
Hey,
make any sense.
So
And
I
then-
I
watched.
don't think she should
then it
ever
gets
keep
into-
him away from a child. Keep a father away from their child.
So I watched the second movie, and it was times where I feel like she might have knew and was trying to like get them to like. She was like, "Hey, hang out with the baby," and he was like, "You better call your baby daddy." Like it was times when that nigga just wasn't receptive to the daughter. Like she was like, "Let me see how this nigga navigates this."
I mean, he's a single man. You know what I'm saying? He ain't trying to do all of that. If she would have been like, sit down, like put the timeline together as to how everything transpired, then he would have been like, oh, okay, like maybe this is a possibility. But you want me to hang out with some kid and
That I don't
pretend to
even
be
know
daddy?
that.
Go get them.
Oh no! Again, there's growth. She grew a lot,
Yes.
and she ended up being probably my favorite woman out of all of the women. She was
I'm
a,
just saying she grew.
Because she was all about Quentin, and I appreciated that. So yes, there was growth, but she had a lot of foul moments.
she was a damn good wife to that man, trying to get him to eat healthy and
That's
clean
why
up
I
his
love
act.
her.
And, like
But
she
the
was
other-
fine.
But it was real because even she talked shit at the same time. Like, I can see myself like being mad and like just saying some slick shit. Like I like that. That was a comedic relief in this whole thing. I love their marriage.
She's
and everything
fantastic.
Like that. She's fantastic.
She's the
I
best
love Shelby.
out of
I
all
don't
the
like
women.
Shelby. Like,
Out of
I-
all of the
like
women,
you
all
said,
of
who you
the
get on my nerves,
wives,
but come eat these grass. or
she's the
whatever.
best. I'm talking Jordan. I'm talking maybe not Mia because she died. So include Mia. Mia was fantastic. Out of the rest of the women, Shelby is by far the
That
mountaintop.
was surprising to me. I was surprised.
I
Yeah.
like Shelby. I said it. Out of everybody, Shelby's my favorite.
I wasn't mad at her disrupting. Hey, come
And
get
that
what
was
you want,
part
girl.
one
Come get it. I
of
said, look
the
at her.
review from
She
just
earned that.
posted
She deserves.
of the
Hey,
Best
she a
Man,
go
the
getter.
final chapters.
She
2
went and
will be
got
Now
it.
coming up
she's
soon
a
for
go
part
getter.
2.
You go
Stay
get her.
locked in.
Be
She's a
mad at
home
TLC
me.
Network
She is not a
and
They
go
just
wasn't
getter.
even.
posted.
They never even lived together.
I had sex with this man right before he got married, and not to negate from him that he was wrong for that shit too. But she don't need no applause for that. That's messy.
Hey, listen, crazy coochie. She threw that crazy coochie at him, and he had to go
Hey,
with
look,
it. And
real
it be like
he's right
that.
about
I'm
that.
done. I'm done. I'm not condoning it at all. Okay.
I mean, it happened.
All right, let's get
He
more
even said she was
controversial
crazy.
real quick. We gonna go into Robin. Let's go into Robin next.
Oh, we should say that for later.
And y'all go first because she my least favorite. So have at it.
Oh no, we won't do Robin. Let's go to LJ.
The son.
The son. I had to think about that too.